Pay close attention. What you're about to see is Bible prophecy being fulfilled.
Welcome to another edition of YPN News, bringing you news as it relates to Bible prophecy and foretold by Yeshua Hawkins. Today's broadcast, we bring you information from a little city in Rome tooting its own little horn, sickening news concerning the flu, what the NSA has been secretly up to, and as well as the plight of the Sudanese people, the refugees, as they flee and cross the Nile, and the ongoing progress of the Middle East, peace talks. First off, we place our focus on the Vatican and the new pontiff whose surging popularity is producing swelling crowds. YPN's Larry McGee has our coverage. Larry, how much have the crowds actually increased?
The current estimate sets the number at triple. The Pope's personality is reportedly attracting crowds of over 6 million viewers to his weekly audiences, according to estimates taken by Vatican officials from ticket sales related to papal events such as his weekly appearances at St. Peter's Square and Mass. By comparison, the Pope behind the scenes, Pope Benedict XVI, is only reported to have drawn crowds of 2 million in 2012, a distinction which propagandists are eager to promote in that it suggests a popular wave of over 4 million people flocking to the new pontiff. This, the Vatican's latest public relations ploy, follows on the heels of the Pope being named Person of the Year by both Time magazine and the leading gay rights magazine, The Advocate. Despite the rock star image being cast of the new pontiff, however, some are choosing to remain objective and pay attention to see what the character behind the personality of Francis, the Pied Piper Pope, will yield in the very near future. For YPN News, I'm Larry McGee. Katan Jeff, back to you.
Wow. Big swelling words bring big swelling crowds, I guess. Now, one of the biggest concerns for the winter season is the flu. This year, the CDC says the flu is widespread in 4 southern states: Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. For most people, the flu is just a nuisance, but in some cases, it can turn deadly. A 30-year-old Texas resident from Euless, Dustin Wright, came down with the flu the weekend before Thanksgiving. His wife, Ashley, said he was achy, feverish, and had the chills, nothing more than that. But a few days later, he was struggling to breathe.
Now, that's when she rushed him to the emergency room. Doctors told her he had the H1N1 strain of the flu, in other words, the swine flu. On December 5th, he died. At least 5 people have died in Texas, all from the swine flu. Health authorities say that getting the flu vaccine can prevent people from getting swine flu as well as other strains if people get vaccinated.
Of course, there's no guarantee that you won't get the flu even if you are vaccinated.
That's right.
Now, last year, according to the CDC, only 45% of Americans got the flu shot. Christopher Perkins, medical director for Dallas County Health and Human Services, said, when things are quiet, people tend to let their guard down. But when there's a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of people coming down with the flu and a lot of people being hospitalized, and some of those people succumbing to death, people start seeking out the vaccine.
Neither Dustin Wright nor his wife Ashley had the flu shot. Ashley wants people to know that things like this happen in your own backyard. You don't think that it will, but it does, she said. Now, experts are saying that the peak flu season is February, so there's still time to get vaccinated.
If you're willing to risk it. The NSA is said to reportedly be developing a supercomputer that could crack nearly every type of encryption. This information is the result of documents the Washington Post obtained from former contractor Edward Snowden. The Post said The computer would be used to break codes used in protecting banking, medical, business, and government records all around the world. The NSA's response to this recent information that has gotten out has been no comment.
Well, in other news this week, the refugees from Sudan are fleeing the internal fighting taking place within their country. Now, over 75,000 people have made the trip across the Nile River in an attempt to avoid the bloodshed. As reported by the BBC, these refugees are leaving with whatever they can carry, sometimes with nothing at all, and are taking shelter under the trees scattered around them.
This scene continues for several miles down the bank of the Nile. Huge numbers of people bringing only what they could grab. Most of the refugees have little to no food and no clean drinking water. Some have resorted to using the dirty water from the Nile.
Now, 2 clinics have been set up with a handful of staff in each of these, trying to deal with the increased numbers of people who have been crossing over. Now, most people coming into the clinic have had serious cases of diarrhea. Many of the patients have been children, with reports of babies who have died of diarrhea because of the poor facilities, which include no water, no shelter, and of course, no food.
That's sad. The first signs of any real aid have slowly been arriving. The Red Cross Committee has made its way with truckloads of food and some other necessary supplies. The committee has been organizing the people by which area they are from to try to ensure that the supplies are given out fairly to those people who need it most.
Now, despite the efforts being made, much more is needed to help these refugees. But with a 5-hour drive over very bad roads, the area is hard to reach. Now, as the fighting continues across the river, many are calling this a humanitarian crisis. People can no longer come over on boats because of the increased danger to them. Reports are indicating that people are being shot at as they try to cross the Nile River.
Wow. Now, even with the danger, some feel fleeing to nothing is better than being in a town that's being held by the anti-government forces. With the serious risk of more intense fighting breaking out in the days ahead, the future for these people look bleak.
Well, lastly today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Secretary of State John Kerry met in Jerusalem to continue the peace talks. Now listen as John Kerry talks about the difficult decisions leaders will have to make in the days ahead, and even makes a personal comment on reconciliation.
I will never compromise on the security of Israel and its citizens, and on the vital interests that protect our future. I think you know, John, more than most, how important it is to ensure the security of Israel. And I hope that despite the shifting sands in the Middle East, together we can build a rock-solid foundation for security and for a secure peace. And that's the job we're going to do in the coming days and weeks. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Benedict. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, my friend Bibi. And let me begin by saying to all the people of Israel that our thoughts, my thoughts, are with the Sharon family as they sit in vigil with the former Prime Minister of Israel, Arik Sharon. We remember his contributions, sacrifices he made to ensure the survival and the well-being of Israel. And I have many personal thoughts about my meetings with him on many different occasions, always robust and strong and clear about his positions. And so we all join, all Americans are thinking of Israel and their leader, former leader, and of the vigil that is taking place now, a very personal level with his family. I think it's safe to say that we know what the issues are. We know the parameters and the possibilities of peace. And as I said not so many months ago at Ben Gurion Airport as I left, the time is soon arriving where leaders are going to have to make difficult decisions. We are close to that time, if not at it. And I think we understand the circumstances within which we are working. I know, I come here with no illusions. I know that there are many who are skeptical of whether or not the two parties can achieve peace. But I will tell you that I have personally learned something about the power of reconciliation. I have personally learned something about the power of reconciliation. I have personally learned something about the power of reconciliation.
Interesting.
Well, these upcoming difficult decisions faced by today's leaders would not be so difficult if they would seek their answers from the only prophesied witness in this time period. Yeshua Hawkins has been amazing both doctors and scientists, including all Bible scholars, with the knowledge he has found in the Holy Scriptures. But whether or not the world leaders choose to follow his guidance, you yourself can be led and guided into the only prophesied place offering protection from the nuclear wars that are soon to come.
Here's what you can do. You can contact the House of Yahweh and order your Prophetic Word magazine and monthly newsletter by writing the House of Yahweh, P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604. You can call them at 1-800-613-9494, or you can visit them on the web at www.yahweh.com or www.yisroelhawkins.com or www.yahwehsbranch.com. You can also email them at info@yahweh.com. And all calls outside the United States, please dial the number on your screen.
Don't go anywhere. Up next, the teachings of Yeshua Hawkins. From all of us here at YPN News, I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
And I'm Katan Alexander.
Thanks for watching.